Hi, my name is Jay Parker, and I want to introduce you to my book, A Year of No More Secrets. It's a composite of a year's worth of interactions with a program that helps people recover from sex and love addiction, individuals and as couples. I wrote it over the course of a calendar year. I wrote every Friday based on the work that I did Monday through Thursday. So it's written in diary form. I hope you enjoy it. January 1, once upon a time. Jay, if I told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Please, dear, color inside the lines. I can still hear Mrs. Cunningham's words ringing in my ears as if it was yesterday. If I had $1 for every time she told me to color inside the lines, I'd be a millionaire today, retired on the beach in Cancun, sucking on a rum and Coke, well, minus the rum. Looking back on it, I guess my kindergarten teacher back in PS 176 in New York had me figured out. Maybe I had oppositional defiance disorder, or maybe I had ADHD, or maybe, just maybe, I wore different lenses, ones that let me see things outside the box. Given a choice, I'd rather believe the latter. I remember watching Evel Knievel do his crazy motorcycle jump over the Snake River. What I remember most was the disclaimer that appeared on the TV screen just before he took off. The announcer said it as I read it, "Don't try this at home. Boy, can I relate." This would be a good time for my disclaimer. I'm not really sure my immersion program for sex and love addicts can be replicated. There are some real fundamental lines that I color outside of when it comes to the coaching box, and I want to acknowledge this right from the start. My lenses often see beyond conventional strategies. I've learned to be okay with it, and it fits me. My program, No More Secrets, NMS, does not work for every addict. It is definitely not for the faint of heart. Along with being sex and love addicts, my clients all suffer from an intimacy disorder. The easiest way to define an intimacy disorder would be in an exercise I give my clients. I write on a piece of paper, "In, to, me, see." Then I ask them to read it back to me 5 times fast. As the connection starts to be made, they realize that they have spent a lifetime not allowing anyone to look inside of them. And most of all, that includes themselves. This can make NMS recovery messy. What I know about every form of addiction, whether substance or process addiction, which is behavioral, is that addiction lays bare a simple truth: misery is optional, and recovery is done not at the speed of light, but rather at the speed of pain. My business is crisis generated. Anyone who walks into my office is hurting enough to seek and gain recovery. Yet often those individuals who present the greatest amount of pain and who express the most immediate appreciation turned out to be the ones quickest to forget their pain after the immediate crisis has passed. Sex and love addiction is a disease that constantly tells sufferers that they don't have a disease. The conventional wisdom of Alcoholics Anonymous says that this illness is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I'll add the word patient. Addiction lies in wait long before raising its ugly head. The illness is metaphorically in the parking lot doing push-ups, gaining strength to beat up its victims. A lot of this is because the illness is culturally camouflaged. Our world and our media tells everyone that we can only be complete when we are either hypersexual or in a partnership, whether it's healthy or not. This concept is not new. Perhaps the greatest English romantic play ever written was Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare wrote it more than 400 years ago. Take a step back and look at it through my lenses. The play takes place in true addict fashion. The central characters meet, fall in love, copulate, and die all within 4 days. Juliet was also 14, but I'm not going there. The rapidity of their romance was unhealthy. Another classic is the childhood tale, Cinderella. The story has a nice intent with the evil stepsisters and the fairy godmother, but what about the prince? Once Cinderella transforms from a poor tattered urchin into a beautiful fair maiden, she dances with the prince for hours as they gaze into each other's eyes. Then, as the clock strikes midnight, Cinderella runs back to her old life. Now here's the kicker. The prince can only find Cinderella by her shoe? What about her face, eyes, hair, smile, or voice? What exactly was he looking at for all those hours? Was he looking down her blouse? Little girls who embrace this story grow up looking for Prince Charming, and when they think they've found him, it turns out Prince Charming has problems with fidelity at worst and is just a jerk at best. For over 50 years, young girls have grown up playing with Barbie dolls. A life-size Barbie would measure 39, 18, 36. And even though Barbie can have a profession like a teacher or a nurse, her best outfit after all these politically correct years is still the hot pants with the 6-inch I want to have sex heels. In addition, all little girls who do Barbie learn that Barbie isn't complete without Ken. The truth is that Barbie is now considered tame and almost passé when going eyeball to eyeball with the newest Bratz dolls, which are highly sexualized and make me blush. We live in an MTV world for sure. That means kids growing up in Enid, Oklahoma, get bombarded with the same media messages taken in by the kids in New York and LA. A hot media question of the day was whether the MTV hit series Skins was child porn. Today's music, with lyrics of ho this and bitch that convey images intended to heighten sexual arousal while making the listener callous to the concept of monogamy. Such music portrays promiscuity as a rite of passage. Most of today's music comes with videos that are just short of porn. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart once commented that he couldn't define porn, but I would know it when I see it. It's been said that the porn industry in America made $10 billion in 2012. Truth is, we ain't seen nothing yet. For example, a company called Real Touch is developing an interactive sex toy called Teledildonics. I'll leave the particulars to the reader's imagination. Sex industry staples like G-strings and strip clubs' dancing poles have made their way into mainstream society disguised as thong underwear and exercise equipment. Teen girls wear shorts and sweatpants bearing phrases such as delicious or eye candy across their backsides. Where do the eyes of an adult male track when our eye candy girls cross paths at a mall? Not to mention Abercrombie & Fitch's controversial padded push-up bra/bikini designed for 8-year-old girls. Where will it end? Even the politically correct 1950s and 1960s had their share of music that carried messages not necessarily healthy for us. I remember all too well a hit song by the American Breed that said, "Bend me, shape me, any way you want me, as long as you love me, it's all right." How about that for a life lesson? When I recall the pushback the older generation gave to Presley and the Beatles, I might have to laugh. Lyrics by the likes of Eminem, Public Enemy, and Snoop Dogg make "I Want to Hold Your Hand" seem like the itsy bitsy spider. I recently watched 3 highly regarded mainstream movies, and my lenses saw these loaded with issues that I see in NMS every day. Up in the Air with George Clooney is a sad saga of a man who is a workaholic, love-avoidant, type A personality with a severe attachment disorder. His female love interest is also a type A personality. She leads a compartmentalized double life. The second of the 3 movies was It's Complicated, a light romantic comedy with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin. Both their characters lack strong personal boundaries. His womanizing, in concert with a clear picture of the effects of divorce on children, in this case all the children were adults, leads to an entertaining film loaded with sex and love addiction. The last film was called Two Lovers, with Gwyneth Paltrow and Joaquin Phoenix. This is an almost pathetic portrait of three traumatized late 20s, early 30s-something adults living with their parents who create a very messy love triangle. The woman who wants the man claims she will take care of him forever, while the woman he pursues is more broken than he is. The dichotomy is clear. Again, I see these dynamics every day, yet they are camouflaged in real life and in real time. The world never knew beyond a shadow of a doubt about President Kennedy's dalliances with Marilyn Monroe, but with CNN and the 24-hour news cycle, President Clinton wasn't that lucky. His legacy will forever be linked to a semen stain on a blue dress of a 22-year-old White House intern named Monica Lewinsky. He was impeached for lying about his affair. The expression, doing a Lewinsky, became part of the American lexicon. Famous and powerful men, from Anthony Weiner to Tiger Woods, have had to wear their indiscretions in the public arena. Woods' behavior was publicly labeled by the media as sexual addiction, which had rarely been done previously. Famous and powerful men seem to feel that they are entitled to create their own set of rules. Regardless of fame or power, all sex addicts feel a sense of entitlement. Finally, in this rant, I get to the internet, the greatest delivery system for antisocial behavior in the history of the world. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my computer, and I never want to go back to pencil and paper. But as with all technology, there are downsides. Think for a second about two of America's greatest visionary men, Henry Ford and Bill Gates. These men lived about 100 years apart. Each had a dream. Ford wanted to mass produce his Model T, make it inexpensive enough for every American to own, and he did it. Gates wanted to put a computer on every desk in every home, and he did it. As forward-thinking as Ford was, he could not have envisioned in 1908 that in 2008, nearly 40,000 Americans would die in automobiles. He never envisioned seatbelts, airbags, GPS systems, or DUIs, driving under the influence. Despite all this, I do not want to go back to the horse and buggy. I make up that Gates never envisioned that porn would be the number one business online. He could not have seen that this technology would provide access and safe haven for pedophiles or sexual predators. I also believe that Gates never envisioned the availability of porn and the sex industry through websites, let alone the havoc wreaked on marriages. Ask any divorce attorney the biggest cost for divorce these days, and you'll likely hear the internet. The internet is accessible, affordable, and anonymous. No last call or blue laws to shut it down. This dope dealer is open for business 24/7, 365 days a year, and much of what is offered is free. This is scary to think about, especially if you are one of the minimum 6 to 10% of the computer-using population who have become sex addicted or are partnered with an active addict. The wisdom of AA tells us that once you are pickled, you can never be a cucumber again. Just saying no is no longer an effective course or option for those who have crossed the addiction line. By the time a man walks into my office, the wheels have fallen off his life. His spouse, or his boss, or his child, or the criminal justice system has caught him in a behavior that gives his spouse the power to demand that he seek help. At that moment, the spouse becomes both cop and parent. Nowhere in that unhealthy equation is there room for spouse, friend, lover, child, protector, or employer. The addict system is out of whack, and all hell has broken loose. This disease is more than an error in judgment. It's not a phase or a stage like acne that will be outgrown. It is chronic in history, obsessive compulsive in nature. It cannot be stopped regardless of the consequence, and it creates a secret. Sex addiction is real as a heart attack, yet it does not enter our lives uninvited. This disease has the same characteristics as any other disease. If left untreated, it will get worse. It has the potential to be fatal. As I begin this year and this endeavor, it is my intention to give readers a small window to this illness in all its manifestations. Through the years, I have been urged by clients and peers to share NMS with the outside world. I believe NMS is a unique, innovative, and effective recovery model. My goal is to communicate in the form of a year's worth of journal entries the powerful, important, and sensitive work that we do here at NMS on a daily basis. I hope you enjoy the journey. Thank you.